Hey, good evening, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind Wednesday Night Live with me, Mike Avery. Here in our middle of the week get together. How are you this evening? Hey, Sean, fellow Angler Quest owner, Cliff. Good evening. How are you, Randy? Nice to have you along with us as well as we celebrate our history and tradition of the outdoor lifestyle. It's an honorable tradition. It's a tradition that in some ways is maybe for the first time in my life in danger of going away, certainly in danger of not being embraced to the extent that it was when I was a kid growing up. Let's see if I forgot to stop to loop that. No, I think we're good. Tommy, buddy, always a pleasure. Hello, Brian. Nice to have you along with us as well. Hey, Charles. Tim, good evening. Uncle Johnny, how are you? Scott, getting some good turkey pictures on the property. Nice. It's that time, isn't it? I'm jonesing for turkey hunting real bad. Hello, Tim. Gobble, right back at you, Jason. Craig Plowman. Where'd you go, Craig? Have fun on the Big D. Friday, Robert. Mark has been on the D every day, day in and day out, 2 trips a day. But he's checking in from his kid's house in Royal Oak. I was in Royal Oak yesterday, Mark. Down there for a little family business, but I was in Royal Oak yesterday. Fruitport, watching a track meet and listening to you. I left my, Bernie, I left my granddaughter's softball game to come here and do this. Tony, I made a call over. Well, I made a text over to Linwood Beach. I asked Scott Safransky, I said, how are your guys doing? Are they crazy busy? Because Scott, if your guys have time, I'd like to get my boat, my Angler Quest, splashed next week. So hopefully I'll be out there on the water, Tony. My turkey season starts next Saturday, so I got to decide between turkey hunting and fishing. Ed, why is our Attorney General banning hunting? She's going after the 223. Because our Attorney General is an absolute fool. That's why. She's a liberal left-wing whack job. Remember the video, the pictures of her being carried out of the football stadium because she was too drunk to walk? Hey, Julie. Ed, good evening. How are you? Denise. Jim checking in from Tennessee. Cliff says Royal Oak is in his neck of the woods. I was in Royal Oak and Birmingham yesterday. I was in Birmingham Sunday, too. Charles said the Red-winged blackbirds finally made it to the Yoop. Mark says there's no fish in Detroit. Tell Craig to stay home. Craig. Yeah, Mark Pananzek says there's no fish in Detroit. There's none in the Detroit River at all. Stay home, big guy. It's not worth your trip. John, good evening. How are you? Dave Mason, good evening. I love that song you did, Dave. I'm just kidding, hey, Dave. Hello, Mark. Nice to have you along with us. Mark makes me think about golf. Golf makes me think about our outing coming up Monday, July 27th. I found out today that both the sponsorship signups and the golf registration is going to be through the MUCC website, mucc.org. That is supposed to be up and running next week. I will keep you guys and gals informed of that. I think it's going to be a great outing. Dave, good evening. Hooked up. How are you? I'm doing well, Aaron. Right back at you. Dan. There we go. Dan, Dennis, Dan. Evening, Brett. How are you? Paul. Mike. Another Paul. Now his wife disagrees. Turkey versus walleye is a toss-up, but I'd go for walleye if the wind and the weather is right. Can't argue with that. I will tell you this, next Saturday morning, I will have that Wraith 270 see-through blind set up on a piece of property about 1.5 miles from here over at my buddy Doug's place. I went over there this morning because I haven't been seeing a lot of birds wandering around there. I went over there early this morning before it got light, went back to the tree line to see if I could hear any gobbles. 6:26 this morning. I heard 2 different birds, at least possibly 3, roosting in the woods next to where I'm gonna be hunting, so I'm feeling much better than I was. Evening, Jerry. I have, Mike. I've seen Tom strutting with hens. John's getting ready for some kind of fishing. Good evening, Jeff. I got the same one. Tim Vince says he's got an email today to review DNR updates to the walleye and yellow perch management plan. 35 pages. I started to read it, Tim, and I said, I don't have time to read this right now. Turkey season is much shorter than walleye season. Absolutely, Ed. Who's Gary Eisen? July 29th is Monday is the golf outing. Saturday, July 27th is the Angler Quest tournament. Good evening, Jim. How are you? Kevin says, Turkey talk. I'm listening. Spring and YouTube in the air, driving through St. Clair. Jason Karstens, how are things up in the Sioux, buddy? How are things up in the Sioux? Ralph, how are you? Hey, some things I want to talk about tonight. The weather. Isn't it nice? Doesn't it finally feel like spring? He's a state rep. Okay. We'll take all the good state reps we can to try to balance out our governorette. I mean, our governess. I mean, the dictator. I mean, our governor and our attorney general. Jason says they got some breeding action going on up there, and he means turkeys. Trying to improve perch fishing, yeah. But what are they proposing? That's what I wondered, Tim. I didn't have time to get into it. Are they proposing going to a 10 fish limit on Saginaw Bay for walleye? Are they proposing going to a 10-inch limit? I know they want to knock down the number of walleye, so hopefully to improve the perch fishing. Mark said he took the DNR deer management survey today, and he feel like he's wasted his time. You're not the first guy I've heard say that, Mark. Hello, Michelle. Good evening. How are you? Rick, how you doing, buddy? Oh, Craig, I should switch this around. You know how much I hate Yeti, right? I mean, I do. I think Yeti is ridiculously overpriced product. So I will not buy a Yeti. However, if someone buys me one or gives me one, like my good friend Craig Plowman did with this beautiful Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation Yeti, I will use it. I won't give Yeti any money. There is a hilarious video on YouTube that I want to share. Allegedly going inside the boardroom, it's a spoof, going inside the boardroom at Yeti, trying to justify the cost. And it's absolutely hilarious. Yeah, I'm not going to buy a Yeti. Ralph, Paul, Jason, Tim. Hey, Ed, how you doing, buddy? Ed Rutherford, probably the longest. He's probably been on the water as a working fishing guide and charter captain of the Great Lakes longer than anybody. Ed Rutherford, Trout Scout Charters. Thank you, Darren. I appreciate that. Styling tonight, a nice shirt and a cool mug. That's right. Look at me. Look at me tonight, Craig. Looking pretty suave, don't you think? I should have grabbed a different color t-shirt and one that had a better neck on it, though. Yeah, the birds are in the air, no doubt about it. Good evening, Paul. How are you? Gene, good evening. Kathy, Johnny Bowler, the Bear Whisperer. You're right, Scott. Ed is a legend. Ed Rutherford of Trout Scout Charters, honestly, is a legend. That's not an exaggeration. Cliff says fruit trees blooming today in central Ohio. I can tell you this, there's a lot of things budding out here in my neck of the woods because my allergies have been absolutely bonkers. I actually was taking 2 allergy pills a day and giving my wife Denise 2 a day. And Uncle Johnny's laughing at this right now. I thought it said in the instructions, take 1 twice a day. So for the last 3 days, we've been taking one twice a day, and our allergies have been wonderful. We've been a little tired though. Turns out you're only supposed to take one every 24 hours. The turkey crossed the road so Avery could shoot him. Oh, let's not forget that in my opinion, I think the best value out there for a turkey hunting blind or a portable pop-up hunting blind right now is the Wraith 270 see-through ground blind from Primal Outdoors. PrimalOutdoors.com, by the way, the website. You can get a Wraith 270 see-through ground blind right now for less than $150. How do you do it? You go to Jay's Sporting Goods in Clare or Gaylord. You go back to the blind department. You pick up a Wraith. You put it under your arm. You walk up to the counter. You lay it on the checkout counter, and you say, "I want the Avery discount." And they will probably know what the Avery discount is. If they don't, it's Avery 424. It's Avery 424. Let me make a text here. Avery 424. Avery 424. You get one for $149, $150. If you can't make it to the store, you go to the website, jsportinggoods.com. That's jsportinggoods.com. Use the promo code Avery 424. Mike Hampton at Mike's Tire Sales in Colin. How are you? Mike's Tire Sales. You're looking for a good deal on great tires. Mike's your guy. Hey, Mike, I understand my son James was over to see you a couple of weeks ago. Ross Elliott. I can't wait to see Ross. The man has lost 88 pounds, and I'll bet you he loses at least another 20. Good job, Ross. Those are drug guidelines, not rules. True. Actually, it's just a suggestion. Johnny says the best blind for everything. Rick, when will the DNR issue one single season turkey tag instead of having multiple zones and seasons? I don't think they will. Kevin Prophet, you've never been turkey hunting, but you're going this season. Kevin, please let me know what you think. I think you're going to fall in love with it. It is addicting. The first time you get out there and you hear a bird gobble, oh man, it'll take you over. It'll take over your soul. What did everybody think of the eclipse on Monday? Well, the world didn't come to an end. Hello, Donald. How are you? I did hear, shameless plug for what? The Wraith 270? Abso-freaking-lutely. Absolutely, it's a shameless plug. Or the one for Mike Hampton. Which one, Ed? The shameless plug for the Wraith or the shameless plug for Mike Hampton? Depending on your answer, I will be happy to respond. Yeah, Ross. Ross will be the first to tell you. He had the gastric sleeve surgery that I had, and it's not the easy way out. Chris, how are things in Kansas this evening? Paul, good evening. Sam, it was so nice to see you and the rest of the family at the Lumberjack a few weeks ago. Patrick. Suppressor's good. It's sitting in my safe. I haven't put it on the end of my Brenton yet. Mike Hampton. I am more than happy to give blatant plugs to people I work with and friends of mine who run good businesses and have good products. And Mike Hampton is one of them. And I do not apologize. I do not apologize for promoting people who run good businesses, for people who make good products, for people who have good service. So I don't apologize for that at all. Yes, Mike, you need to start turkey hunting. Honestly, it is a riot. The first time you get out there and hear a bird gobble, the first time you call one in and you don't even have to shoot it. It is absolutely addicting. Randy got back from a campground, a couple large ponds, geese, and they have a coyote decoy out there. Mine's working so far. It's working so far. No, Paul, I haven't. But thank you for reminding me. There was an Avery discount on the Brenton for a while. Scott says, yes, a shameless plug for meat sticks and forwards. I will shamelessly plug anybody I'm working with because I wouldn't be working with them if I didn't believe in them. Good evening, Bruce. How are you? Nice to have you along with us on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. Aditya, City Birds. First in your backyard and then over at Somerset. I need to come down and set up a blind in the parking lot of Somerset, Aditya. Oh, I got to sneeze. Hold on. I told you my allergies. When I cut back from doubling the dosage of my allergy pills, my allergies kicked in. Yes, Chris, not a problem. Chris says, Mike, sorry if you've already answered, but is the 270 blind on sale? Absolutely, it is. Thank you. The biggest sale I've ever seen. Now, Chris, since you live in Kansas, you're not going to probably want to drive to Michigan to get it. But even in Kansas, if you go to the website, jsportinggoods.com, Chris, if you go to the website, jsportinggoods.com, put the Wraith 270 see-through ground blind in your cart at checkout. Use the promo code Avery424. You will get it for $149.99. Any update on the golf outing? The golf outing is Monday, July 29th at the West Branch Country Club. The sign up for golfers and sign up to be a sponsor will be at the MUC website, mucc.org. And that'll go live next week. When it goes live, I will make a big deal about it. I will make a big splash about it. All right, Johnny, have a good night, buddy. Thank you. Ricky says, bless you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to the golf outing. That's going to be a lot of fun. Johnny, do you have to run because you have to make a fire run or because you have to make a beer run? After all, you are a Youper. Okay, with the weather the way it is, I told you, I texted Scott Safransky over at Linwood Beach and said, hey, when you can, I know you're swamped, but when you can, please splash my Angler Quest. Chartered a boat for this weekend in the Bay. Can't wait. Mike, who did you charter the trip with? Who did you book your trip with? Ed Bolanowski, I stopped in at a gas station on I-75 Wolverine. They are fully stocked with Michigan brand meats, jerky, and meat sticks. Got Heidi 2 bags of cherry maple jerky, but no bags of the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks, Ed. Mike Sills, Michigan Outdoorsman, just got some final things finished for turkey hunting. Can't wait. I can't wait to see a picture of you holding a big tom. I'll be out there with my crossbow. Lerner RIP Charters, Captain Grant. I don't know that name, but good luck. Have fun. Any word on the MUCC lawsuit against the Queen? Nothing yet. Nothing new that I know of. John's looking forward to fishing, leftover turkey tags. He learned to like fall turkey hunting. Haven't tried spring, but I make you want to go. Excellent. John, the thing about spring that is such a riot is the birds are gobbling. The toms are gobbling and they're strutting. And that's what makes the spring season unique and such a rush, in my opinion. Yeah, Mike, I will indeed be shooting the wreck broadheads. Next week on Wednesday Night Live, I'll bring my setup in here. I'll bring my crossbow in here and I'll bring my heads. I'm going to be using probably the wreck expandables. Yeah, interesting question. Dennis says it was announced that Shell stations are going to strict EV stations are eliminating fuel pumps. Well, I don't think that's true. I don't know this for a fact, Dennis, but based on what I've seen with my own eyes, I have seen the forward stations add electric vehicle charging stations, but I do not believe they're going to drop their gas pumps. Brad, no problem, buddy. Tommy, anybody using a 410 for turkey season, thinking I might try it, just not sure the best load as they are expensive. Tommy, 410s right now are the hottest thing out there for turkey hunting, but you're exactly right. Because they are so hot, the 410 loads are very expensive. Very expensive. But if you keep it to 40 yards or less, you should be good to go. Kevin says he started using Rex when he heard about it on my show. They're awesome. Thank you. And make sure you let the folks from Wreck Broadheads know. Okay. Dave says, I wish wild turkey tasted like Butterball. Dave, I'm glad wild turkey does not. Chris, get this dove field set up. Rub it in, Chris. Rub it in. That you guys there in Kansas can hunt doves. Rub it in. Because, of course, we here in Michigan can't. Headroom, headroom, headroom. I always look at these things afterwards and go, why is there so much headroom? Because what I see in my monitor right here and what you see, well, I can check it real easy. I just go over to my Facebook page and check it and see what the headroom looks like over there. Oh, that's good. Being an old broadcast guy, those things drive me crazy. Even for a box of 20 gauge, it's $50, $10 a shell. Holy cow. Uncle Johnny, John Craves, Cabela's has Herder brand 410 turkey loads for $40. For how many, John? 5? Herder, that's a name I haven't heard for a while. Scott Hand. He put his AQ in the slip this weekend. Had Brad pull it today because of the potential 50-mile-an-hour winds Friday. West winds, too. Low water at LBM could be a problem Friday as the wind sucks the water out. I had not heard about 50-mile-an-hour winds on Friday, Scott. Thank you for that heads up. My text to Scott says, can we put my Angler Quest in next week? So next week certainly sounds much better. An inch of rain tomorrow and 50-mile-an-hour winds on Friday. I don't think I want to be on the bay. Any more word on the Calhoun County wolf? No, but I do want to follow up on that. Hang tight. My thoughts on the wolf shot in southern Michigan. Yeah, I got some thoughts. We'll talk about it again in a minute. Dave, now I would eat some dove. 5 rounds for $40. They're almost $10. Tommy says, Johnny Craves, thank you. Any word on the boat sign up for Walleye for Warriors? Sean Hodges is asking, Scott Hand, what's the latest? Scott, did you have any more luck getting boat captains for Walleye for Warriors? Because we got a big MWT event that same weekend, I think is screwing us up. Scott Hand, going to bug you one last time, buddy. What is the status of boat captains for Walleye for Warriors, Scott Hand? Sean Hodges, fellow Angler Quest owner, is wondering. Waiting on Scott. Da, 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 da. Still at around 70 boat captains, and ideally you'd like 100, Scott, 110 even. So we are still short on boat captains. And the thing about this, when you're short on boat captains, you can't take out as many veterans. Chris says, just remember on the wild turkey, do not throw those legs away. That's interesting, Chris, because I had Chef Dixie Dave Miner on the show today talking about turkeys. And actually, Dave doesn't throw them away, but he says you got to cook the snot out of those legs to get him to be a tender. Because turkeys run from things for a living. What's in the cup tonight? Right now, there is just Crystal Light in my Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation mug. I just got a text from my son. My granddaughter's softball game is wrapped up. They've gone over to a local hangout that we have here. And so I'm going to wrap this up in a few minutes, and I'm going to go over there and I'm going to have a Guinness. Check out the weather radar as of 7:23. Why? What's it showing, Ed? I know we got rain coming in. Signs going up around Linwood Beach Marina recruiting more captains. QR code will take you to the sign-up page. No, not till later, Dave. Scott, will you have Michigan brand process your turkey? No, I won't. The turkey. Well, I don't think so. It's a good question. I didn't last year. We just cooked the breasts. Okay, people are asking about that Calhoun County wolf. Last week, I talked about this extensively on the radio show, on Wednesday Night Live, and on some videos that I posted online. I said then, and I will say again now, I am reluctant to believe that the wolf in Calhoun County wandered down from the UP or even the northern lower peninsula. I heartily admit that it is possible because wolves wander. It's possible, but I don't think so. I believe it's more likely that it got there by some other means. What is the other means? Was it a captive wolf that escaped or was released? I don't know. I think that's more plausible. I'm getting all kinds of grief on this. People saying I'm an idiot. They're saying I'm a fool. They say I should spend less time behind the microphone and more time in the woods. I can't argue with any of those things. I just do not buy into well, I think if a wolf was coming down from the UP, it would have settled in somewhere other than Calhoun County. I think it would have stopped in any one of those counties in the northern lower or even the central lower. I just can't believe that it went down that far. I got a couple of things I got to address here while I keep talking about the wolf thing. Timing of the press release on the Calhoun County wolf in the NRC lawsuit. Wolf was taken in January. DNR shading coyote hunting in light of the litigation. I've heard that too. John, I saw your photo and ad at his surgeon's office yesterday for your weight loss promo. Very professional. Well done. Yeah, they did a good job with it. They really did. Aaron says Guinness sounds good right now. Sitting back enjoying some Buffalo Trace. That sounds good too. Randy says the DNR brought 17 pairs to the lower years ago. Prove it, Randy, because I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe that the DNR brought 17 pairs of wolf to the lower peninsula years ago. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Scott Hand, nobody saw you, but the AQ was in Avery Skinny Water Saturday. Sunday, they found me and had to change directions. Found another Skinny Water honey hole. Hand, stay out of my water. That belongs to me and Tony Wint. That's my honey hole and Tony Wint's honey hole. All right, you might be allowed to get in there if you pay a toll. You know how in Bay City you have to pay to cross the bridges? You're going to fish Avery Skinny Water, you got to pay a toll. It's not a hybrid, Chris. They confirmed with DNA that it is a full-blown wolf. I agree with you there, Mike. John Kellison says he believes it is also more likely a wolf from some sort of sanctuary or wildlife refuge. However, heard some things about other areas of the lower that have been said to have wolves. Not sure how much is true. Here's my point, John. Thank you. This is what I was leading to. I don't buy into the concept that there are as many wolves in the lower peninsula as people are trying to convince me that there is. I got people coming out of the woodwork telling me stories about wolves or pairs of wolves or packs of wolves all across the lower peninsula. I'm not buying into it. I haven't seen the proof. I haven't seen the evidence. If there were as many packs of wolves roaming around the lower peninsula as people are trying to get me to believe, you'd know about it. There would be no speculation. You would absolutely know about it. So here's what I said on the radio show this week, and here's what I'm saying right now. Because I admit that wolves do wander, and because I admit that they're biologically, it's not inconceivable that a wolf from the Upper Peninsula would wander down to Calhoun County. I think the odds are against it. However, or even, I think it would be more likely that a wolf from the northern lower would end up in Calhoun County. But I don't believe there are hardly any wolves in the northern lower peninsula. I just don't believe that they're there in the numbers that people are trying to convince me that they are. So, along that line, I would like to be educated. If you have proof of wolves in the lower peninsula, please share it with me. And obviously, that proof is going to be in the form of trail camera pictures. You're not going to get video or photos of live wolves in the lower peninsula, I don't think. You certainly can't be posing with a dead wolf because you'd be in a world of hurt. But we have trail cameras across the entire state. They're out there monitoring everything 24 hours a day. If we have a significant population of wolves in the lower peninsula, those trail cameras are going to pick it up. So, to educate me and to prove to me that I'm wrong and there is a substantial population of wolves in the lower peninsula, please send those trail camera pictures to me. Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I'm asking you in that email, just for my benefit only, to tell me what county those pictures are from. And I'm going to have to take your word from it. You could have a trail camera picture from Gogebic County and tell me it's Clare County, and I would just have to take your word for it. So this is not very scientific. Send me, please, your trail camera photos of wolves in the lower peninsula. Tell me what county they're in. I will not share those pictures unless you give me the approval to do so. The reason I'm making this plea is people say I'm naive and people say I'm an idiot and people say I'm wrong. All of those things are in part true about many, many different issues. But a lot of people are telling me that I'm off base by saying that I don't believe that wolf in Calhoun County got there naturally via a migration. The only way, well, not the only way, I think if you can prove to me that there is a population of lower peninsula wolves, then I would be much more inclined to believe that that one in Calhoun County wandered in there. So I'm asking for proof. I've had a lot of people say, Avery, you're wrong. There are wolves all over the place. And they'll tell me anecdotal stories. Oh, my dad saw one in a swamp 2 years ago. Well, I don't believe that. But if you show me trail camera pictures of a wolf in the swamp behind your house, then I'm going to have to believe it, right? So send me the pictures. Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. You're right, Cliff. The DNR put them in there. They flew them in with a black helicopter and they set them free. Is there a way from the DNA analysis that the DNR could tell if it came from the UP? I think there is, Paul, and I hope that is done. Matt Smith, good evening, buddy. How are you? Wolf squares. What does that mean, Jordan? Wolf squares. George says, we don't hear a lot of wolves howling downstairs. And that's another thing. If you had wolves in the section behind your house, like many of you say you do, you'd hear the darn things howling. I don't, and you wouldn't have, there wouldn't be a dog, there wouldn't be a cat in the section. If you had wolves behind your house, you would know it. What I don't understand is why some people, a significant percentage of people, want to have wolves in the lower peninsula. I don't want them here. So I'm not going to admit that they're here unless somebody proves it to me. That's why I'm asking for the trail camera pictures. If you have trail camera pictures of wolves in the lower peninsula, please email them to me at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Just tell me what county. I won't share them publicly unless you give me the authority, the approval. I will tell you this. Of the half dozen or so pictures that people have sent me previously before this Calhoun County wolf, I've had roughly a half dozen people send me a dozen pictures of canines in the lower peninsula that they say are wolves, but they're not. They're coyotes. But prove me wrong. I want to know. I want to know the truth. If there are a bunch of wolves in the lower peninsula and there's proof, I will embrace it. But I've got to see the proof. They are. They're seeing coyotes, Aaron. I think you're right, Tim. I think they did say that it was a U. Well, no. I don't think they said that. They said it's a Great Lakes wolf. They didn't say it was a UP wolf. Right, Mike. Wolves have been around St. Helen for several years. Coyote hunters with hounds will confirm it. Not saying a bunch, but definitely one for sure. And that's another thing, Scott. Thank you for bringing it up. I said this on the radio show and forgot to mention it here. If there were wolves in the Lower Peninsula in the population that people are claiming, not only would we see them on trail camera pictures, but the trappers would be seeing them and the houndsmen would be seeing them. Now, Scott says he's got some buddies near St. Helena who have seen one. But if they were around in the number of people claim, the houndsmen would see them. Yes, Larry, I do think it could come across the ice. Absolutely. We haven't had any great ice for a couple of years. And Larry, if a wolf came across the ice from the upper to the northern lower, here's where I'm hung up. I don't think they would travel all the way through all of that deer country and elk country in northern Michigan to end up in Calhoun County. If a hunter shot a wolf in Crawford County, I would be more inclined to believe that it came down and migrated down. The fact that it was in Calhoun County makes me wonder. Tony, did you see Scott Hand? He was in our skinny water. Oh, now I got you, Jordan. Thank you. So, Jordan, you know what I'm saying. You get what I'm trying to say without saying it. All right. I don't want to talk anymore about that wolf. I've said all that I can say. I admit it. It's absolutely possible, but I'm reluctant to buy into it. I think there's a more plausible explanation. And I'm getting a lot of grief. I actually posted something over on TikTok, and as goofy as TikTok is, I had more views on my statements about that Calhoun County wolf. I had more wolves on TikTok, of all places, than I did on Facebook. And well, I didn't put it on Facebook. Than I did on Instagram and YouTube combined. And 80% of them thought I was crazy. Ace, how are you? Where'd you go? It is time for a stiff drink or a Guinness. Where'd you go, Ace? There you are. Evening, buddy. How are you? Thank you, Tim. Before I go, coming up on the Outdoor Magazine radio show this week, Rich Krazan of Killer Food Plots, then Will Fitzpatrick from Michigan Moon. That's a Michigan company that makes a natural bug spray. Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News. In hour number 2, talking about kayak hunting with the yak master, Dave Mull. Katie Grizak from the DNR talking about invasive species. Oh, I got to do something here. You know what it is. You know what it is. There it is. Just to get ready here. Katie Grizak from the DNR. Donnie Krizak from Krijak's. Katie Grizak from the DNR talking about invasive species. Glenn Duncan from Duncan's Outdoor Shop answers the question. Can you use, because it's less expensive, can you use steel shot for turkey hunting in an extra full turkey choke? And he said, nope, don't do it. In our third hour, we're talking turkey with Tom Lounsbury, and then wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner wraps it all up with a walleye recipe. Next week, he goes to turkey. Okay. My name is Mike Avery. This is Wednesday Night Live. Again, if you have trail camera pictures or other proof of wolves in the lower peninsula, I would love to see it. Send me an email, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. That's mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. Tell me what county. Tell me any details you can. I won't share it unless you give me the approval to do so. If there are wolves to the number that people claim in the lower peninsula, it should be pretty easy to get some evidence of it. So far, I've seen none. If it's out there, I haven't seen it, but that's why I'm asking for it. If it's out there, I want to see it. Mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. Mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. Have a good week, friends. Thank you for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. Boom.